introduction. It's such a pleasure to be here with you all. My name is Ananta, and I'm here to share with you a little bit about the Ayurveda way. So by show of hands, how many of you have heard of Ayurveda? Oh wow, so we have a fair number of people. So we had a few talks earlier today and yesterday where people had never heard of Ayurveda. So it's really exciting to see that some of you have indeed heard about it. So
Thank you.
Is this working better now? Okay. So lovely to be with all of you, and I'm so happy that so many of you have heard about Ayurveda, and I'm really delighted to be able to share a little bit about it and my journey with it today. So without further ado, I will just share a little bit about what brought me to this path. I was a student at NYU Stern School of Business, searching for my life purpose. What am I supposed to do with business? And I got into social entrepreneurship because I knew that I really wanted to make a difference in the lives of others. I wanted to do work that would have meaning and that could really, spread to different places and be able to impact as many people as possible. I wanted to change the world as a 20-year-old college kid, and I thought business is a great way to do it, social entrepreneurship. And there they defined it as creating this pattern-breaking, sustainable, and scalable social change. So when we sat with our advisor, who had advised people who are Nobel laureate, Nobel Peace Prize winners, and really important leaders of different countries, I remember her asking us, what does it mean to be the change that you wish to see in the world? And for me, it meant turning that question inside out. How do I create this pattern-breaking change in a sustainable way in my own life? And then be able to scale those changes into the work that I want to do in the world. This was my question, and it led me on a very deep quest back to my roots, on a very amazing journey to discover Ayurveda. I have been teaching yoga and meditation to youth in correctional facilities. And it was amazing to see the kind of transformations that they would experience by learning this. They would actually choose different options for themselves instead of getting reactive and getting into situations that would get them written up by their supervisor. They would actually stop and take a breath and make another choice and not react to the situation. They learned how to respond instead of react just through the simple practices of yoga and meditation. And that was very powerful for me to see. So I loved doing that. But somewhere along the way, I felt that I was still not really free. Even though I was here in this situation, able to impact others, I needed to do more to really be free from my own suffering of body, mind, and spirit. I wanted some answers. And so I was invited by a good friend of mine who was a decision analysis PhD student at Stanford to come to a talk that he organized there for a woman who would later become my teacher. And her name is Acharya Shunya. She is a lineage holder from ancient India. And I just sat in that audience, and suddenly it was like everything was clicking. My whole purpose and my quest and this question that I had asked about how do I create this change in myself, and then how do I spread it to others, I was just seeing light bulbs go off. Like, this is how to do it. Everything she was saying made so much sense to me. And I was like, yes, this is what I'm here to do. This is what I'm meant to help spread. Because a lot of people don't know about this. I didn't even know about it myself until recently. And so I was really excited to go on this journey. And truly, my life has not been the same since that day. It's been inside out and outside in journey, I would say. Ayurveda really helped me to overcome years of eating disorders, stress, digestive issues, trouble sleeping at night. I had so many health issues, and I really wondered why I was always being told, however, that I was in excellent health. And I'm like, well, if I can't sleep, I'm having this trouble, I'm going and finding solutions everywhere I can, then how do you tell me I'm in excellent health? I somehow don't think this is all adding up, So I wanted something that would really address all of me and that would give me the answers that I was searching for. And I knew that it needed to affect me at all these levels, physically, mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually. I was hungry for that, and it led me to many places. And then Ayurveda truly led me back home. And so it's been a beautiful full circle journey to then go back to NYU to actually launch this book and to share a little bit about the journey of going inside, finding these tools and these practices from Ayurveda to truly live a healthy life myself so that I could really be the change that I wanted to see in the world. And I'm very happy to report that I also had the chance to go back to Stanford and to teach the staff there through the School of Medicine how to, again, live this healthy lifestyle through the Ayurveda lifestyle practices, through the diet changes, through the ways that Ayurveda teaches us to really think positively. And 96% of staff at both the probation department, because this time I went back to work on the outside in, to actually work with staff, because I believe that in order for these children to get better, we need mentors and adults who are feeling really calm and clear and balanced and able to then be role models. We have to work on the inside out, and then with institutions, it's really important to work from the outside in as well. So actually training others to be leaders and to be able to incorporate these practices has become an important part of the journey. And they had experienced some amazing health outcomes. We did before and after surveys to see what the impact was on their health, and they reported 47% less pain, 46% better sleep at night, greater productivity, and so many things. And they were so excited. They were telling other people about it. They were making the recipes, and they actually were the impetus for this book, because I had been writing it and I was teaching as well, so I could see exactly what was resonating with people, what was easy for them to do, what kind of questions they had along the way. And so that really became the Ayurveda way, was teaching this class and then being able to compile it into a book. They would always ask also, can we have a book, to be able to refer back to all the things that you're talking about. So it was a very amazing experience. And so our journey today is going to be a brief look into what is this science called Ayurveda. Let's look at some different ways of understanding it, even if you've heard of it before. How do we use it to heal the body, strengthen the mind, and really free our spirit? These are the sections that my book is also broken up into, so we'll experience a little bit of it here today. So what is Ayurveda? Ayurveda is a science that actually teaches about health. So the primary aim of Ayurveda is actually health promotion and disease prevention. So Ayurveda really shows us how to protect what we have. It shows us that health actually lives within each one of us, that no matter how bad the diagnosis may be, there is actually within each of us the potential for health. Health lives within, is what my teacher said, and we can awaken to that health. It's our birthright, and it's really time to start reclaiming it, with Ayurveda leading the way. So this particular path of swastha means health, and health comes from the root word sva, which means to be established in yourself. So there's such an optimistic view of health and well-being in Ayurveda that you actually are full of health, and it's really, really amazing. And in Ayurveda, we look at health in such a broad way. It's more than just the absence of disease. It's a four-dimensional state. Ayurveda looks at the body, the mind, the spirit, and the five senses. So it has this whole other dimension where we've all heard of body, mind, spirit healing. It's kind of almost cliche these days, right? That everyone wants to say that they're doing that, and yet the origins of that come from the world's oldest healing system, the Ayurveda system, which was always talking about all of these dimensions and a fourth one, which is of the five senses. So we really look carefully at what are we feeding our senses through what we look at, what we hear, what we taste, what we touch. All of these things really, really impact our mind, and then our mind impacts our body. So it's completely holistic, it's completely interconnected. And if health were to be summarized in a single word, it would be balance. So health really equals balance on all of these different dimensions. And in Ayurveda, it's cool to care. So having compassion, having, a healthy life is actually living a compassionate life. Nowadays, there's so many college research bodies that talk about the importance of compassion. They've done research on it. There's a whole gratitude, center in Berkeley and about positive, psychology and thinking and compassion and caring and how that's important. But the Ayurveda sages to whom this science was revealed always knew that. They said to be healthy, you have to learn how to distinguish between those actions that give you joy versus those that give you sorrow. And they said that a happy life, a joyful life, is one where you make actions, you do speech, right? You speak in such a way that you are actually, benefiting yourself and others. So we have such a broad definition of health that really encompasses the whole community and society. And it's really, really quite amazing to see how now modern science is coming back and realizing what we've always known to be true, that it is indeed cool to care. It doesn't mean we all have to start nonprofits, and go save the world, but it means that even at the level of our thinking, can we send some compassion to the people who are cutting us off on the highway, that, okay, maybe I was that person one time, it's okay, and just kind of let things go more, right? This is what we're talking about. It happens at all levels: speech, action, thoughts, it's all interconnected. So Ayurveda specifically provides guidance with all of these areas. These are the 3 pillars of health in Ayurveda. And then, we really talk about all of these things as being integral to health. And these are all a part of my book, which is divided again into body, mind, spirit, and addresses all of these different aspects of health and well-being. And Ayurveda also teaches us Rasayana. I love Rasayana. It's such a beautiful concept that you can actually build your health by not only food, not only lifestyle, but even your behaviors, the thoughts that you think, and some all-natural herbs. So we get to know our garden and our kitchen and our common everyday foods in such a unique and different way through Ayurveda. And we learn that the food that we take in, the nourishment that we receive, is not just from the physical, but it's also from what we're doing each and every day. Everything counts. What you do really matters. And Ayurveda shows us how every action can actually even be a medicine or a poison, depending on the intention, the state of where you're at, the season, and there's so many guidelines for both your daily and your seasonal routines to really come into a sense of harmony with nature. And Ayurveda is really as old as life itself. So this is a picture of a sage called Sushruta, who is known in Ayurveda as being the grandfather of modern surgery, because he had invented such advanced techniques well before modern surgery was around. So you can actually see him doing some plastic surgery here in ancient India. It's very, very amazing. This was part of a pharmaceutical company that had hired some artists to depict the world medicine and all of the different traditions of medicine around the world and how they were, operating. And Ayurveda is really based in the laws of physics, quantum physics and molecular biology. So you'll see a little bit of that today. And as you go deeper into it, you'll learn more about that and see those very scientific foundations of it. Stress. Everyone, I think, can relate to this in our modern world. Our lives are stressful. Things happen. People, politics, even the weather can cause stress, right? So how do we deal with it? In Ayurveda, the stress management prescription is to really live in harmony with nature. We want to harmonize with the world around us. We believe that we are a miniature version of the world around us, and so the more we can understand nature, the more we can really harmonize with nature. And our own true inner nature, which Ayurveda teaches us, is a repository of health, wholeness, and unlimited freedom and power. So Ayurveda has all good news for us, that we are full of all this positive stuff that we didn't maybe even know about or that we forgot about, but lives within us. And so Ayurveda, how is it unique? Some of the unique lessons or powerful lessons for me have been, first of all, digging deep, because Ayurveda goes and addresses the root causes. Why are we suffering? What is the cause? And we look at it at all these different levels: physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and then the 5 senses. What are the inputs? What are the outputs? If you do an intake form with an Ayurveda practitioner, it's really long because it's so thorough. We want to know, what are all the affecting factors? What is your commute like? What is your work situation? How are your relationships with your relatives? All of this matters. What kind of friends do you hang out with? because these are all inputs. These are all feeding the body and feeding the mind and the spirit and affecting the quality of our lives. So it really digs deep. It's like the metaphor of the iceberg, right? You see certain symptoms on the top of that iceberg, but what's below that is actually so much more important, and it's so much bigger because the root cause will go deep. It will go very far down into the ocean, and that's where Ayurveda likes to go, to really get to the heart of the matter and see how to bring us back into alignment and balance with nature. So Ayurveda sees that for physical health, food is a very important aspect of it, that when your diet is correct, medicine actually is of no need. And yet when your diet is not correct, medicine won't help you. So we really embrace our food. And I see someone clapping. Yes, this is indeed so important that Ayurveda teaches you are not just what you eat, though. As important as food is, you are actually what you digest. And unfortunately, you're also what you don't digest. So we really, really love our digestion in Ayurveda. It's so important. There is a really cute article in a Elephant Journal publication saying what a girl into Ayurveda would be like to date. And it says, her digestion is her most prized possession. And it's so true because we really value our digestion in Ayurveda. It's considered the key to health. If your digestion is optimal, if you're having a daily elimination, a daily bowel movement, ideally in the morning, it's not causing you too much stress or pressure, then you know things are going well. Things are functioning optimally. So we don't look at that as like, oh, I just have to go to the bathroom, do the normal kind of thing. It's like, yes, everything is functioning smoothly. I can proceed with my day and be, feeling happy and free. It's like, when dogs go to the bathroom and they run because they're so excited because they feel free, from that urge. And so we also need to experience that, and Ayurveda looks at that. So we always look at what is your digestion whenever we do the intake forms to really see how do we bring that back into balance, because once that is functioning, then all these other things start to happen too. People just start losing weight without even trying to really lose weight. Blood pressure starts going down. Suddenly the mind is not so clouded because it's the digestion that really impacts all of these things. So it might seem, different, but if you try it, I guarantee you will feel a very big difference. Both in terms of your digestion, then your sleep and stress, all of these things are actually connected. And digestion is actually considered to be like a fire in Ayurveda. So it's important to digest at all levels. We don't just digest our food, we digest information. A lot of information in the information age, right? We digest our emotions, and then also we have to digest our life experiences. So Ayurveda gives us this holistic map and holistic understanding. And at the level of the mind and the spirit, we really look at the attachments that we have, right? The things that we have trouble letting go of, because letting go is what sets us free, right? And in terms of the daily elimination, we have to let go of the waste so that we don't become what we don't digest, right? And then we have to let go of things that are binding us, right? So we want to let go of our clinging. It doesn't mean doing anything dramatic outwardly, but it's simply, freeing ourselves from the pain of attachment to objects, to people, to certain situations going the way that we wanted them to go. So this is a very, very important part of health. And Ayurveda teaches that you are part of the whole composite universe. You're like a mini universe onto yourself. And that's why they say that for the one who is wise, the whole world is a teacher. So how does this work? We are connected by 5 states of matter. So even modern scientists are now discovering that there is not just 3. It's not just the gaseous, liquid, and solid states of matter, but there's also a potential state of matter, as we can see with the space element. There's this space from which everything emerges, right? From which everything is born. And so that space is like a potential state of matter that's so important to have in a state of balance, along with the air element, or the gaseous state. And these become the bioforce called Vata dosha. So this one we really try to keep in balance, because out of balance it can create all sorts of issues for the health. And then there's the fire and water elements. So in addition to a potential state of matter, there is also a thermal state of matter that modern physicists are now also beginning to recognize, that there is a thermal state which allows the process of transformation to happen. So we have to transform our food, we have to metabolize our food, and all transformation, all change is due to the presence of the fire element, due to this thermal energy. And the sun is such a great example of that. If you leave anything out in the sun, its form changes whether you want it to or not. And so then we have also the earth and the water elements. So these are like the solid and the liquid states of matter. And these, are very important as well to have in a state of balance. And we can see them in ourselves. We can see them in the world around us. So if we have, a lot of this, air and space in the body, then we can experience like spaciness, racing thoughts, anxiety, a lot of, just movement in general is going to create this. And we can see it in nature when there's hurricanes and tornadoes and a big buildup of air and what it does in terms of its effects. So we don't want that kind of air running around in our bodies and our mind as well. We want it to be in a state of balance. So that's really important. And then for the fire and water elements, we also can see that in the sharpness of our mind, in the intelligence and creativity, in everything that sparks, like inspiration that comes, and the ability to make important decisions comes from the presence of healthy fire. So you can really see it in a CEO, a person who's making a lot of decisions every day would be having a lot of fire. And the fire we can also see in the lion. Lion is a great fiery, animal, and we can see it in volcanoes and forest fires and campfires. So the fire too, we want to keep in a state of balance. We don't want to be having so much fire that we blow up, right, in terms of our emotions as well. Like the volcano, blows up externally. We have to keep our fire in such a way that we don't blow up internally. And then, similarly with the earth and water elements, they're also awesome. They're all awesome. We all have all of them in different degrees. And if you read other Ayurveda books, they'll go on and on about this. I'm just giving you a surface treatment of it because it's important, but there's also so much more to Ayurveda that is important for us to explore. So with the earth and water elements, we can see that in terms of the bones, right? The hard structures of the body. So the bones, the nails, the skin, the teeth, all of this is having the earth element in it. And we want that to be strong in order to have strong bones, strong teeth, strong nails, and strong everything. And similarly with water, we're all 97% made up of water, just like our planet is 97% comprised of water with the oceans, rivers, lakes, etc. So this is an important element, but we want to have it in balance. We don't want to be over-flooded, right? Because water is also connected to our emotions and our compassion and our feelings. And so we want to have them in a good amount, a healthy amount, to stay balanced and not too much, because then we can experience things like water retention, where we have trouble letting go of the excess water, and then that builds up and causes problems for us. So we want all of these things to be in the right state to really give us health, and when we have good earth and water, it can give us a lot of perseverance, stamina, the ability to go the distance, to be a strong athlete and a powerful person. So we definitely want this. We can see a lot of this in the elephants and the blue whales and the big, strong animals on the planet. And we want to be like that, and yet we don't want to be stuck. We want to keep moving. So it's important to have all of these, but in a state of balance. And then Ayurveda teaches that like increases like. So similarity of all substances is always the cause of increase, and dissimilarity the cause of decrease. So this is very evident in even addictions, right? The negative nature of it, the spiraling quality. Like when you do drink alcohol, you want to drink more alcohol because you need more to get some kind of an effect. And it just goes on and builds like that, right? And similarly, fortunately, the opposite is also true. So the more positive choices that we make, the more, our ability to make positive choices increases. So a lot of times people are like, oh my gosh, 108 practices in your book. And it's like, don't worry about it. There's 108 for you to choose from. You can go to any page and just pick what inspires you. Pick what speaks to your heart and your soul and your excitement, and then do that. And then you'll see the difference. And as you see it, the change in your life, then you'll feel naturally motivated that, yeah, I want to do the next thing, because like increases like. And so you keep going, and you will keep on, building that momentum in a positive way. And I can assure you that once you're on it, it's hard to get off of it. And my family can attest to that. I love my Ayurveda ways. And then the sun. The sun is actually a symbol of health, wealth, power, creativity, knowledge. Everything that is alive is due to the power of the sun. So we really, really love the sun in Ayurveda. We develop a relationship with the sun. We live on a circadian rhythm with the Ayurveda lifestyle, with the diet, behavior, and the thinking that we have, because the sun is always shining. The sun is always bright. It shines not because it's trying to get some kind of recognition or approval or stamp for doing so, but it just shines because that's its nature. And we follow the sun because the sun is also connected with that fire element, the fire of digestion in our body. So when we eat, a meal that's heavier, we want to eat it when the outer sun is out to support our inner sun, to be able to digest food in the best way possible. So that's why, for example, Ayurveda would say, have your biggest meal at lunchtime, because you'll have the most support from nature in the form of the sun to be able to digest what it is you're eating. And so now we'll actually go into some of the practical, fun, hands-on part of this experience of healing your body. So we learned, right, that you're not just what you eat, but you are what you digest, and you're also what you don't digest. So what happens, do you think, when you toss cold substances into a fire? Just shout it out.
Starts the fire.
Yeah, it puts the fire out, right? It completely extinguishes it. And so the first recommendation I have in my book, and these pictures are all from my book, is to actually eat warm, cooked, gently oiled foods. It's a recommendation. All of these recommendations are coming from the ancient Ayurvedic texts and the sages who have revealed this knowledge, and from what I've learned from my own teacher. And this is such an important aspect of digestion. This in itself will make a world of a difference. Even if you can't cook, even if you can't, even maybe change where you go to eat, simply choosing from the menu something that's warm and cooked, like a soup over a salad, will make a world of a difference, because the food, when it gets cooked, it's like it gets treated by a mini fire in the form of a stove. And so that fire supports our inner fire to not have to work so hard. And it helps to kindle the digestive system so that the food and the nutrients can travel smoothly through the digestive channels of the body. And this is also due to the laws of physics, because whenever there's heat, it creates expansion. And whenever there's coldness, there's constriction. So if we want everything to be flowing smoothly, especially the bowel movements, because they're so important, as we learned, for health, then we want to make sure that we're putting warm substances into our body to allow that process to happen in the best way. And if you love salads, that's totally fine. You can just steam your salads. Or you can also add some digestive spices. So this is the fiery fivesome, as I've called them. So the first chapter of my book is about food as medicine, and the second chapter is really about this, what I think, a magical world of Ayurvedic spices. So these are medicinal spices that really help you. You can develop a relationship with them. Many of them you might even have already in your own kitchen, such as ginger or black pepper, for example. And some of them could be new to you. So I will just introduce you to a couple here, so you can just have a hands-on introduction to them. So one is called ajwain seed. So that's the second one here, and it's this very small seed here. And I will just pass this out so you can experience it. It's small but powerful, and it's full of fire. So if you want, you can try it, but don't say I didn't warn you. You can just smell it too, and it'll be really intense. So this is a great thing to have if you have pain anywhere. You can make a tea out of this, or if you have gas and bloating after you eat your meals, then you can actually put this into water, boiled water, and make a tea out of it, and it'll be really helpful. I used to have a lot of menstrual pain and would take Motrin, Tylenol, Advil. I took all of the prescription drugs, to try to help myself, and I was like, okay, I don't want to be a monthly drug addict just because I feel pain, So when I learned this, I started to take a little bit of that, put it into my water, and drink it as a tea. And it worked so much faster than all the pain relieving medicines that I used to take. So you don't have to take my word for it. You can actually try it. The only caveat with this and all of these fiery 5 ones are if you have a lot of heat or acidity or inflammation, then you can try the next ones that I'll tell you about, and you should probably not have such hot spices. But if not, then you can enjoy these, and you can definitely enjoy them in salads. They're also helpful for weight loss, because you can imagine, right? The fire transforms everything. So if there's a lot of fat, it's due to the buildup of water in the body. So when we have fire, it burns through all the fat tissues. And so that's why we recommend a little spicier foods for people who can handle it, for people who have more earth and water already in them, who don't feel heat or any of the negative effects of fire in the body or the mind. Oh, and you can also make a blender powder out of them. You know, you can just put it into a Vitamix and make a powder, and you can take it in a small container just like the one that you're seeing, and you can then have your own little mix. So if you're out somewhere and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm gonna digest this burger, well, you have this friend with you. You can just take it out, put a little bit in, and it will help you. It will definitely support you in being able to digest even very heavy, very difficult to digest foods. And you know, it's easy to do. You just keep it in your bag or your pocket, and it's there for you. So no matter what, you can benefit. And if you like to cook, there's some wonderful recipes in the book that incorporate these. And then we like to freshen up with cardamom. So I have this as well, and you might be familiar with this one. I have green cardamom, and you can actually open it, and you'll see that there are some black seeds inside. So you can chew on these if you like for a natural mouth freshener and or to help support you in case you have nausea. So it's really helpful for that. And we make a lot of sweet recipes out of it, and I have a few photos of those coming up. So it's another very fun spice, and it's cooling. You know, you'll feel its cooling quality as well as being digestive. So it's also supporting your digestive fire, and it's wonderful in that way. And then similarly, fennel seeds are also very helpful for gas and bloating. And I'm gonna pass out something that you'll often find in Indian restaurants, because not all Indian food is Ayurvedic. Let me just tell you that much, that they tend to put a lot more stuff into the restaurant food that you wouldn't normally have in the Ayurveda tradition. And so at least what they do is help you by having this at the end, which is fennel seeds with rock candy, because they know they've created a lot of heat with their food, so they want to make sure you're going to be okay when you walk out. So they have that for you, and it's really helpful. But you don't have to have such spicy food to enjoy this. It's really good if you suffer from acidity or inflammation, or you want some digestive support, but you don't want it to be so hot like the fiery 5 spices that we just got introduced to. So these I would encourage you to actually even try. They're really good for this season in particular. And if you find the little rock candies, they're fun to eat along with it. And then strengthening your mind. So the art of mindful eating. It's not just what you eat, even though food is so important. Even though we have a whole chapter on food as medicine, it's also how you eat that really makes a world of a difference. So your food should actually delight all of the 5 senses. We talked about the 5 senses, right? And how important they are for our health and our well-being and to be in a state of balance. And so this is one of the ways to do that. And these are some of the recipes that are in the book. So this one is a sweet cereal that incorporates the cardamom and some other really delicious ingredients, including sugar, that you can have and benefit from. And it's a really good stress relieving recipe because the wheat gets dry roasted, so it becomes lighter and easier to digest. Even if you can't normally digest wheat, it helps to dry roast it, and then you cook it in this way that is described. And then these pictures, each photo from the book took so much time and effort, and they really decorated it, and we put a lot of care into the utensils, and the prop stylist had gone out and sourced all these special things, to manifest the vision that I had for the book, that it be modern but India inspired because it's from India. And so I saw, wow, a whole prop store, opened up right when we were on the photo shoot. And it seems like so silly, right? Like, why put so much effort into finding the best utensils and all of these things? But actually, this adds up. It makes a big difference because you're seeing something that you're going to eat, and it should inspire you to want to eat. And it's part of putting care into your life, into these small things that really add up. And so that's why, we've put a lot of effort into the physical beauty of these photos, and having, flowers even around is really nice to do. And these are marigold flowers. I've talked about them in my book because they're an amazing flower. They have such medicinal qualities. They're really medicine for all the five senses. So I have some skincare recipes in the book where you can actually make a marigold mask, which will help with anti-aging, it helps with acne, it helps to just bring a glow to the skin. And the marigold is really a symbol of the sun, so it's like a little mini sun, and you can make a tea out of it. Again, if you're suffering from inflammation, this is a great season, perfect season for marigolds, and they'll just be really, really wonderful to support you. You can also even make a juice out of the leaves and use it for ear pain, and so many different things that you can do. And this is a savory version of the same recipe that you saw before. And then even old favorites, you can give your pasta an Ayurvedic twist, and we have some Ayurvedic fajita recipes in the book as well, so you can really, still enjoy all the same things that you love with some added benefits from the Ayurveda spices and from the process of actually engaging in mindful eating. So I'm gonna actually give you a hands-on experience of this, and you're welcome to take either one that you like, whichever one appeals to your five senses more. I have both cranberries as well as raisins, and so you can just take a few of them and make sure you have enough, because we'll do this twice basically. So you'll have two different experiences with them. So I'll just pass these out, and you can just take a couple and keep it with you. And then we will actually put this experience into action very shortly. But in the meantime, does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask? Yeah?
Actually, thought-provoking presentation. One thing you started way back when you were doing presentations to the inmates. They're incarcerated. Hopefully not all of them stayed incarcerated. Have you followed them out to see if that made a difference in their life from way back?
Yeah, I had done this teaching through an organization, and so we found that the recidivism rate had reduced for the youth who had gone through these mindfulness types of trainings, indeed.
Okay, so like the rate of incarceration, re-incarceration was less?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they were coming out of the cycle, basically, the revolving door, if you will. Just learning to make new choices. Yeah.
I love what you said about the heat of the food, and being somebody that has been taught to eat raw vegetables and cold. So what about using a microwave to heat up the salad a bit? Or do you not like that at all?
So, of course, microwaves would not have been known in the time that Ayurveda was revealed to the sages. And I would say in general, we do our best to really stay close to nature. So when we microwave the food, it tends to lose some of its vitality. If you are familiar with yoga, you might have heard of this word prana. It means life force. And it's like the nutritive quality of the food, basically the life of the food. It doesn't get invigorated as much. It kind of loses some of its vitality when it's microwaved. So that's why, as much as possible, we prefer using the stove. And yet, if it's a matter of having warm or cold due to the microwave, then it would be better to have warm and use the microwave. But in general, we would just try to stay closer to nature.
But it's fine to have it room temperature even.
Yeah, even with water, what you can do is boil it in the morning, or just once a day, and then you can drink cooled water, as long as it's been boiled already. So just the fact that it's gone through that boiling process, some fire has been added to it. And that actually will make it more digestible. So you don't have to worry about reheating it over and over again that way. So did everyone get some raisins or cranberries?
Okay,
In the back.
They're still making their way around.
Still circulating. Okay, sounds good. Have most of you gotten them? Not quite. Okay. So we'll make sure that you get them, and we'll start our next exercise here. I probably could take one more question while we're waiting.
We'll take one of each.
Whichever one you want, whichever one you like better. We should always have choice, right? Even in our demos.
Is the tea for bloating, the one that you use, the seeds?
Yeah, the ajwain seeds. They're also called bishop's weed seeds.
And we can put those in a smoothie, a shake. You're allowed to make shakes.
We actually have some alternative suggestions that are more digestible, because smoothies, they tend to be cold, and we have some concepts around food combinations, that there's certain foods that don't go as well together. They can cause some disruption to the digestion, which then creates skin issues and other kinds of things. So I've listed them all in the book.
Okay.
And so that's why, smoothies tend to be on the side of combining things that normally should not really be together. So therefore, I have some alternative recipes for smoothies that will actually help you, which will actually be digestive elixirs, and they're really delicious. They involve things like, yogurt and cilantro. You can have a savory version, you can have a sweet version with mango or rose petals, like fresh organic rose petals and sugar, and they're really delicious as well.
Yeah.
So if people like them, then there's alternatives for sure.
Because I've noticed as I'm making them now, I just put anything in the refrigerator, and actually I don't feel so hot.
Yeah.
And now I realize why. So
Yeah.
the other thing is, you're not really thinking, I noticed in the book, you don't really want us to use fermented.
Fermented foods are listed as a causative factor for constipation in the Ayurvedic texts, so that's why we don't really recommend them. Anything in a small quantity, however, will not hurt you.
Okay.
But quantity counts, is what I would say. So if you're really attached to something, we wouldn't just tell you, take it off, like a Band-Aid. We would say, okay, that's fine, but let's try some other things that you enjoy, and try to build on that, and then slowly reduce this. So we don't just make it a drastic change. We want all changes in Ayurveda to be slow and sustainable. And they should be self-motivated, like you should feel excited. And that's why this book is so colorful. You'll see all these pictures and inspiration, and I've tried to put my own inspiration into it for what inspired me to get onto this path, because I think it's so important that we feel joy in living a healthy life. It shouldn't feel like a chore. It shouldn't feel like a checklist that you gotta, make sure you got everything right. But it should feel like, yes, I'm gonna do this, even if it's just one thing. But you do it with your heart, and you do it with your excitement and your inspiration, and then you'll just see what happens. It will have a different kind of impact, a different kind of effect and benefit. Okay, so now you all have your raisins or cranberries. Okay, wonderful. So we're going to try something. So just for 1 minute, I want you to turn to someone, ideally someone you don't know, and just say hello for a few moments, and then I'll call you back afterwards. Okay, so I'll have your attention back. So I'd like your attention back now. I know it's so tempting to just want to socialize at this point, because there's always so many interesting people to talk to. But don't worry, we'll have plenty of time for socializing afterwards. So by the way, folks, how are the raisins?
Awesome.
How are the raisins?
Fantastic. We're supposed to eat.
Were we supposed to eat them? That's a great response. That is normally what happens, right? Because when we're having the raisins, we're maybe, talking to people, and we have something, it's like our mind goes into talking. And usually our mind is in all of these things, right? So we might be having them, we might not be having them, but we don't really know. It's like, you just go down the street, pick up something, eat it on the way, and, not sure what happened. So it's a different kind of experience. So now we're going to try the raisins. I hope you still have some left. If not, then we can pass them around, or if they may be. We're going to have a different experience with them now. So now this time, I want you to actually look at the raisins or the cranberries, and, just take a moment and really feel gratitude for these raisins. And really imagine the whole chain of people, events, and situations that would have brought these raisins to you. The farmers who cultivated them, the people who would have, brought them through all of the different stages of the process. And really, feel that connection with this whole chain of life that has come through to bring this to you. And as you do this, now let's see if we can really offer these raisins to ourselves as being an offering to our own inner temple, right, or our inner church. And see if you can even close your eyes and really chew the raisins and feel the texture and feel the flavors, and see if you can even chew up to 30 times. You don't have to count it, don't overthink it, but see if you can chew more than you normally would. And then after you have finished them, we can actually, sit in this particular yoga pose if it's comfortable, or you can just see it for now and maybe try it later. But basically, it's sitting on the heels, like I'm doing in this photo. And even if you don't do it, just try this visualization. Try closing your eyes and really imagining these raisins converting into fuel for your body, converting into nutrients, converting into health and power and inspiration and creativity in your body. Really imagine that this little bit of food is giving you vitality, giving you power, giving you courage. And you can even imagine that there is a whole thunderbolt inside. It's called the thunderbolt pose. And you can imagine that it's like a diamond, compacted, beautiful, shape of crystal inside, and that it's giving you this inner power. The power to digest your food, to digest information, to digest emotions, to digest life situations. And as you do this, know that this is actually connecting the best of your physical manifestation with the highest consciousness. It's like a mindfulness meditation that you can have amidst your day-to-day life without really going anywhere, without even taking too much time, and without even costing you a cent. And you can slowly open your eyes. And then what Ayurveda would recommend is after you do this thunderbolt pose, you can take 100 steps walk. And this doesn't mean going for a hike necessarily, but it's just a simple walk that will help to get the digestive process going, especially if you've eaten late at night, especially if you get tired after you eat and feel a little bit sluggish. This would be a great thing to make sure you feel revitalized and ready for your next segment of your day or your life. And as often as possible, Ayurveda says, eat in a place that inspires you. Because our surroundings are also like a food. They're like a source of inspiration, and they can be also a source of negativity. So we really care for our surroundings and how we eat. And I would love to just hear feedback. How was that exercise for you with mindful eating?
I would say I had the cranberry and just making the juice come out of it instead of just swallowing it. So that was something really focusing on it. When I put it in my oatmeal, I could taste it a lot, but I never really just eat them singly. So
Wonderful.
As we spoke this morning, when you spoke to our group, we do this exercise every year during Thanksgiving, and this was taught from my teacher to my teacher to my teacher. And again, you take one raisin, a little differently, but the same aspect is because we don't eat mindfully, we just eat. And so if you put the raisin or whatever in your mouth and don't chew it, just feel the saliva in the back from the juices. Your tongue feels the ridges. And then you understand the mindfulness of it all. And Ananta, you're exactly right. You think about a strawberry that was planted, someone had to harvest it, someone had to package it, put it on a truck or a train or some way to transport it to wherever, whether it's a farmer's market or Kroger's, of which other people get involved. So it's a whole chain. And as you know, in yoga, which means union, we're all together in this world. So to be thankful for everything and everyone that is part of our life, whether it's through food, love, or kindness, becomes a beautiful thing.
Indeed, that was so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, both of you. And so in our last segment here, I wanted to introduce you to the buzzing bee. This is a powerful medicine. It's a recharge for your mind and your body. You can see all the benefits of it here, but I want you to experience it. So what we're going to do is actually close the ears and cover the eyes, and then we'll breathe in through the nose and make a buzzing sound at the throat. Awesome. Yeah, and it doesn't take long, right? Just 30-second reboot. This is a favorite of the probation staff. They would go and do it themselves and recharge themselves. You can do this anytime. You can even do it before bed. It'll help you to sleep at night. Yeah.
Would you agree it's almost the same as IUM or OM?
What?
It's almost the same as IUM or OM?
Yeah, definitely. Indeed. And then finally, freeing your spirit. So we love the sun in Ayurveda. We develop a profound relationship with the sun. And when we wake up early and we can actually see that sun rising in the sky, it not only fills us with a kind of hope, but it also helps us with our digestion. So everything gets moving early in the morning, and it fills us with a kind of positivity and peace with which we can then take on with us for the rest of the day. And so I invite you to actually look at your hands right now. And this is what I do first thing in the morning when I wake up. And I really affirm that the power of abundance lives right here at my fingertips. That creativity, knowledge, wisdom live in the palms of my hands. And at the base of my hands lies the power to make a difference in my own life and in the lives of those around me. So everything I am looking for in this life, everything that we search for, happiness, peace, security, hope, inspiration, health, it all lives right here in our own hands. So as it's said in the ancient Upanishads, which is a spiritual text as part of Vedanta, which is a universal spiritual system of philosophy, that when you sow a thought, you reap an action. When you sow an action, you reap a habit. When you sow a habit, you reap a character. And when you sow a character, you reap a destiny. So your life, your health, your whole destiny lies right here in your own hands. And this one practice, this is what inspired me. This is the one thing that I chose to do. And it made such a difference in the whole journey that ensued. From struggling to try to control everything in my life, which was really the root of my own health struggles of eating disorders, was trying to, take control in a negative way. I was then like, okay, may these hands be led by a higher power to guide me to what I need to do to bring peace and health to myself and then to others, and really, try to be the change that I wish to see in the world. And so with that, I just want to really thank you and encourage you to check out more in the book. We have the book here that my sister Nikita, you can raise your hand, we'll be helping to have those for you, and I'm happy to sign them after. They're also available wherever books are sold. And then, do keep in touch. Feel free to visit my website, and I'll have my business cards out here if you want to contact me for any purpose. And if you're really inspired by this and you want to go deeper into Ayurveda, we have a one-year online course coming up where you can learn all these different aspects of physical, mental, emotional, psychological, about the yoga, philosophy, and herbs and spices and how to, grow your own Ayurvedic garden. So you can email this address for more information. And then I also wanted to share a little bit about my teacher's book, that if you really wanted to go deeper, then there's a whole encyclopedia of Ayurveda lifestyle wisdom available. And I've recommended this in the back of my own book as well, so just wanted you to know about it. And I think if you've received any positive inspiration or thoughts, it's really all thanks to my teachers and my ancestors, who I discovered on this journey were actually Ayurveda healers and teachers in the sacred land of India. So I really thank all of them, my grandfathers and the whole lineage, and all of my teachers, and support for everything that has ensued. So this has really brought me home, and I'm so happy to extend this invitation to you to really come to this science and take with it what you can to really change your life in small, sustainable ways. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was, wow. All I can say is wow. I hope you all enjoyed this as much as I did. This was incredible, just incredible. If you haven't grabbed a gold paper back there, which is the evaluation, I'd ask you to do that, please, and answer the questions. You can just leave it on that back table.
Can I ask you to give this out in case people wanted to keep in touch?
Okay.
They can feel free to.
Okay, we'll pass, you want me to just pass it around?
Sure.
Okay. If you want to put your emails on here. Any other questions, thoughts, comments?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
it was fantastic, thank you very, very much, and I was moved when you were talking about the food, that it brought back a memory, and I still love to do it today, of picking berries, and I just wondered if, I just feel so like you use your hands, you pick the berry right off the stem. I've always loved doing it, and is that anything that would be part of food and eating? Is that any, what's your thoughts on the direct versus having this berry come from so many different processes?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you can connect with nature directly like that and really, have that experience firsthand with nature, it's just the best. So that's really wonderful. And that's why we love, growing our own vegetables and really cultivating a lot of the food that we eat as much as we can, because as close as we can connect with nature in our own backyards, that it gives us that much more sustenance back, because as we care for the earth, as we care for nature, it also cares for us, right? So it's a beautiful symbiotic relationship that we develop with the world around us. And it's beautiful that you brought that up, because there's a wonderful story that my teacher told about a patient who had come to see her grandfather, who was a very renowned healer in India. And he had been really suffering from piles. So you can imagine how painful it would have been to drive from wherever he was in India all the way up north to where, this teacher was, literally sitting for so many hours. And the prescription that her grandfather had gave was that you're going to go and plant these seeds, and they're medicine for this condition, right? So you're going to harvest them, is what he said. And ideally, you'll go live in a farm and, plant these seeds and really spend time doing it. I want you to let go of the work for some time, because he had quite a bit of money, so he didn't really need more. He was just, doing it out of habit. So he said, I want you to take your children and your wife and go to this farm and really spend time with nature, just planting seeds of the medicine and harvesting them. And then next year, I want you to bring it back to me. And he was like, okay, but when am I going to have the medicine, right? When am I going to actually eat it? And he was like, no, actually, doing all of this is your medicine. And it was because it was going to bring him into harmony with nature, because he would spend the time, actually caring for this plant and doing all that it needed for it to grow and for it to thrive and really prosper where it was. And so just that change in lifestyle, living in harmony with the sun and waking up and, having this connection with nature like that was really his prescription. And then sure enough, he came back a year later looking so much younger, so much more relieved. He brought his family with them. They're all, happy and smiling, and he had brought all this medicine to then share it with others. And so it's just a beautiful illustration of that.
Thank you all for coming. Again, there's refreshments, they're not warm.
That's okay.
I blew that one, I guess.
We have spices you can add to it.
We
if
have
you
spices,
want.
that's right. How could I forget? Books are back there. She's gracious enough to sign them if you want them signed.
Yes,
Correct?
sure.
And just have a great evening.
Thank you.